Welcome back to The Man That Can with Lachlan Stuart, the podcast helping men build resilience, break limits, and lead themselves powerfully. Today, I'm joined by Beau Robinson, former Wallaby, Super Rugby champion, and now one of Australia's leading leadership and cultural coaches. Beau is also the owner of the Complete Property Training and RTO, delivering real estate education since 2009. He's also the author of the powerful book, In the Arena. So from the Australian schoolboys to Super Rugby finals, to losing his brother, which we touch on, rebuilding his identity and redefining leadership, Beau brings a perspective very few men ever earn. In this episode, you'll learn 1, how to break free from external validation and live on your own terms, what identity really means when the spotlight disappears, and the mindset that helped Beau rebuild from setbacks, grief, and career collapse into purpose, impact, and leadership. If this episode resonates with you, make sure you like, share, subscribe, because it's going to help it reach more men who need to be part of these conversations. Let's dive in.
There's so much good stuff that I want to talk to you about. And I've gone through so much of your content. You're very consistent with your Friday learnings. And one that I wanted to start with because it's something that I experienced and something we might have spoken about before, but I was definitely talking about it yesterday, but keeping up with the Joneses. I know you put a video out about it months ago. I struggle, bro. Like, being in Brisbane, have you thought more about it since you put that video out?
Not really.
I was like, I hope you just come back with an article or a research paper.
No, I don't have the time or patience to it. No. What do you mean? What do you like?
Well, when you're talking about you bumped into a mate
Mm-hmm.
who just moved out of the spotlight, the
Yep.
town, and he's enjoying peace and quiet. And he's like, I just got sick of keeping up with the Joneses. For me, when I'm in Brisbane, I feel like I have to earn more money and I have to constantly be showing that I'm successful. But when I go back to Toowoomba, or even when I was living overseas, that just disappeared. Like, I felt like I had this freedom to just live how I actually wanted to live, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I see a lot of people like that. I suppose just for a bit of context and background, I've done business coaching, do leadership coaching, mindset coaching, and that's a real issue for a lot of people, right? But I suppose even for you, like, why do you feel as though you need to do that in Brisbane? And I think for a lot of people, based on my observations and experience, they're looking for external validation.
Mm.
And
It sucks to hear.
I don't know, like that again. That's just my perspective, and why? Don't know. Why do they? Why are they trying to impress people that don't even know?
Mm. I guess if you go back to the external validation, it's just wanting to potentially be seen or feel valued.
Yeah, I'll give it from my perspective, right?
Yep.
If I don't know you, then I'm probably not necessarily giving a great deal of thought around what your thoughts are of me.
Yep.
Right? Like, in saying that, I see a lot of people, I just ran into 2 people randomly down at Newstead there, and I want their perspective to be, because they do know me, that aligns with what I want to be regarded as, right? But if someone's got an ill opinion of me, or, not a great opinion, and I don't like that person anyway, like, I don't give a stuff.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or I don't respect them anyway. I'm like, I don't care. But as long as the people who I know, have a good opinion of me,
Yep.
and regard me highly, that's important. So, you and I don't know each other very well, but I think, from what I've seen on social media and catching up with you, we're pretty aligned, right? So if you came back to me like, or I got a feeling that there was something that you thought I, could be better or do better, or there's something about my personality that I would value, because I'm like, okay, I feel as though I'm aligned with Lockie.
Yep.
Values, behaviours, or wonder why he's getting that, or what have I done to give him that. But someone down the road.
Who's never met you. They just have an idea of you.
I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I do care to some extent, like but they might have, they're so far removed.
Yeah, literally. They don't understand all the nuances and whatnot.
And you see, like, that happens a fair bit in my coaching, right? When I go into teams and businesses and companies, they're like, oh, I've a professional rugby player, former professional rugby player, right? So they have this already preconceived idea of what I'll be and who I'll be, like, that I just talk football all the time.
Yep.
And I'm anything but that.
Literally, yeah. That's what I loved about catching up with you. I warranted, like, I had that same preconceived idea of, like, footy player who'll love talking footy. I don't think we really even spoke about footy.
No.
I don't think we've ever really spoken about footy. This is the most we've done, and I feel uncomfortable. Let's move on. But I think that's the great thing, and the thing that I was really impressed about with you is, like, how much you've done post-rugby. That transition period, you said, and I'll paraphrase it, but, like, owning your impact for the people that do know you and the people that you care about. You're very focused on how you let them feel, like, the impact that you have around them. What was that like during that transition period where you're going from rugby? That had been your identity for so long, and then into life after sport.
Yeah, it was. I think I was much more grounded, even before becoming a professional rugby player, because I hadn't grown up in, sort of a bit more of a working class family, out in Dubbo, and went to a boarding school at Stannings in Bathurst. So it wasn't a massive GPS school, and my old man will bring you back down to earth pretty quickly, right? So you don't get too big for your boots.
I got a funny story that you shared that I want to talk about with that later.
Right, so, like, you get too confident, cocky, bang, he'll bring you back down real quick.
Yeah.
So I was always like, not necessarily, like, didn't see myself as a professional rugby player. I was someone who played professional rugby, right? It wasn't who I was, it's what I did. And that was really, hit home when, so just again, for those that don't know, like, I made my professional debut at 20. The following year played in a Super Rugby final, right, for the Waratahs against the Crusaders over in Christchurch. The third year I was still with the team but didn't get a run. New coach came in.
Yep.
Later that year I couldn't find anything in the world and ended up in the third division in Italy. Now, Italy's a beautiful place, but the rugby's absolutely atrocious, and especially in the third division. So I'd been right. Like, the cultural experience amazing. The rugby experience, oh my god! And whilst over there, my brother passed away coming over to see me. And so I didn't have a professional contract, so I literally went from being in a Super Rugby final to then my brother passing without a Super Rugby or professional rugby contract and working as a garbo on the Northern Beaches. So that, I suppose if you want to look at the positives, that again reminded me, like, no one gives a shit about you being a professional rugby player.
What I'm fascinated in is, like, how do you're playing a Super Rugby final, right? Like, rugby players spend their whole career just trying to make that. You did that at 2021, right? 2021. And then you've gone on, like, that's essentially one of the pinnacle moments. Next would probably be Wallabies, right? But then you fall. Like, how do you manage that, though? Because so many people look at the state of affairs in Australia at the moment, right? There's a lot of people who are struggling financially, right? Yet there's still, I always see, like, help wanted at McDonald's and whatever, and people still think they're too good to go work there. But if I look at what's the objective, putting food on the table or surviving, they change. But you've sort of seemed to navigate, not smoothly, but you just
Definitely not smoothly.
You've just done what you've needed to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I went down to the Warringah Rats, my old club team down there, and they're like, we can get you these corporate jobs in the city, like, a big career. And I was like, no, fuck that. I just want to be a professional rugby player, and I'm going to be a professional rugby player again. So I appreciate it. I just want a job that starts early, finishes early, so I can go do my training. Lo and behold, Garbo it was. And because I had a goal of actually playing for the Melbourne Rebels, because they were a new team coming in 2011, all these new spots. And again, I was at this stage 23.
Yep.
And, I I was pretty dedicated and committed. It's not like I was a Todd Carney or Ben Cousins, right?
Yep.
Playing up. Pretty focused, and it was exciting because they had all these new contracts. But unfortunately, by the time they gave all them out, none of them had my name on it. And unfortunately or fortunately, the way you want to look at it.
How do you find the drive to keep going?
It's a good point. You sit there going, well, why am I doing this? You go, what's your alternative?
I find it. I just want to try and like unpack it, because a lot of people talk about mindset, and quite often I think they're referring to mindset as resilience. Like, how do I continue persevering to achieve what I want?
So literally, right? Righto, this is too hard, right? Is this worth it? And there'll be times when you go, it's not. And then they sit there and they go, righto, what else am I going to do? And look at my options. Are they better? No. Then just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a better option, that's all right. Go and pivot.
Yeah.
But and I do this a fair bit, and probably more consciously now, with some of the the personal development stuff that I've done over the last couple of years. But it is literally, this is crap, and even with my coach, I go, that's all right. You don't have to do it. No one's making you do it. No one made you take this role. If you don't like it, get out.
Change.
Oh.
Yeah.
What else would you do?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, probably go and write a list and see if it would work or not.
It is that simple, right? Like,
simple. Like, most of the stuff with the coaching I've done, it just simplify it because it just resonates.
Yep.
Just lands home.
Even for me, like, I went and played footy in France, probably the same time I was watching you playing on footy on TV.
I think we talked more about your football career last time we caught up on mine.
Well, it was longer, right? But after that, like, at that time, I didn't have the know-how or the simplification to go, well, what's your alternatives? I was just like, well, I'm a failure. Let's just go drink. And hopefully we'll find something in that position, which obviously we know you never do.
Yeah.
And now that I've sort of got like what I consider a second chance, where I've found another thing that I love doing and I want to be great at, I just never want to take a shortcut, because I definitely took shortcuts back in the day, because there was an element growing up. I did well to a degree, and when you do well, especially as a young kid, it's like you're getting praised, and it feels good as a kid to get validated, and you always want that, right?
Yeah.
But then you also, if things do come a little bit easier to you, you said you had a hard, working class upbringing. For me, sport in that specific thing was easy, so I did start taking that for granted. Whereas now I'm just like, why my head's so strong is because I have lost that. And similar to you, sort of went through that roller coaster as well. And I think there is a benefit in being humbled some way that makes you appreciate the value of hard work.
Yeah, most definitely. And just also provide more context, right? When I was working as Garbo, like, my brother had passed, so...
How old was your brother? Was he younger?
21, yeah, 2 years younger than me. So he had passed, right, and I'd already been a professional rugby player and already played in a Super Rugby final. So I knew I could do it, right? So I was like, well, I can do this. And then I think with him passing, I went out and worked at Burke for like 6 weeks, and I was like, it just gave me a really good opportunity to reflect and go, I think I had a pretty good perspective on life and how to approach it, but that was just like, why wouldn't you do it? Like, what are you going to live this life for? This is it. Like, you can go, literally. Like, he had an accident, and just gone. Never get to say goodbye. So it just goes, shit, life's that quick. Like, live it. Live it. And that was a pretty big why too, to live life to the fullest, because it can be taken away that quickly. And that's why I was like, that was it. I was just focused on that, and it was just going to happen.
Do you still use that now as motivation to do all the things you do?
Yeah, mate. Like, in terms of, like, chase the money or chase happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yep.
Well, so you go through, obviously you get back to playing professional rugby. Like, what was that moment like for you? Obviously losing your brother, Garbo, not getting a contract with the Rebels. When you got the phone call or the email, whatever you got,
Well, I didn't because they said no, because it was the Queensland Reds and my former coach at the Waratahs, Ewan McKenzie, had been up here. He'd been here for a year and already started to change the place.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager, reached out to him and said, can Beau come up here? And he's like, no. No, we've got some other young blokes that we're developing. So I reached out to you and myself and I said, listen, I totally understand and respect, your stance. I said, can you just give me an opportunity? He said, righto, no contract, but you come up and train with us in the pre-season. And then I was training Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday mornings, and I was working at a pub Wednesday, Friday night, all day Saturday and Saturday night. And always had Sundays off to recover mentally, physically, and it was an agreement then that if you got 5 games, you got an automatic contract. And I suppose, the first goal was to, make earn, I suppose, the trial games. Then it was to, get a spot on the bench, and then it was to start, and then it was to get year 5 games, and then keep going from there.
Fuck. So these little milestones that you just had to focus on. Another interesting thing, so obviously the contract's probably in the back of your mind, like I want to see myself here for a couple of seasons, which is the big thing, and maybe have felt a fair way away at that point in time. You're rocking up without a contract. At what point would you use, like, I want to be back in this sign for a couple of seasons to motivate you and to get you to do what you needed to do, as opposed to, like, I just need to get through this next session?
Oh, it was literally probably not until the 5 games rolled around and got that, because literally you did not have any security. Like, you get injured at training, you're done. You pack up, like if you had a serious injury, pack up and gone, never to be seen again.
Did you have any niggles during that period where you're like, oh?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
No,
You're a fucking animal on the field, though. That's
Oh,
I still literally, regardless of what people think of Aussie rugby at the moment, whenever like we need a bit of mongrel, I still reference you. I'm like, we need some more people like Beau just to get in there and fucking get it done.
hopefully better players, but because if we're relying on Beau Robinson to save Australian rugby, we're in some strife. We're in some real strife.
Oh, mate, Australian rugby. What do you think of it at the moment, just quickly?
I thought from where we were halfway through the season that we probably would have advanced and progressed more. So I'm a bit disheartened.
Knowing what you know, right, having been in it, but also with the work that you do for mindset, leadership, team, like performance coaching, what do you, obviously this is subjectively speaking, like what do you feel is missing or lacking? Because I believe the talent's there.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough in 2013 that I went and played with a Bay of Plenty Steamers in the NPC ITM over in New Zealand.
Yep.
And so being in that system, you saw that everything was aligned. Like, the purpose of the ITM was then to develop players for Super Rugby, that was to develop players to the All Blacks. So everything was ultimately
For the All Blacks.
aligned to the All Blacks. And ultimately above that, at that point in time, might not be the case now, or might not be the feeling or the sense over there, it was New Zealand rugby in New Zealand. Does that make sense? Like, it was above the All Blacks. But everything in terms of performance was about the All Blacks and making sure that they were, performing, succeeding, so that, the next generation was inspired. And you could literally see that even down the ITM, 2 or 3 stages away. Yeah.
And so do you feel like Australia's lacking a bit of that at the moment?
Based on the time I was involved in the game, definitely weren't aligned.
Yep.
Across, like, again, it was, not towards, everything was not about the Wallabies or Australian rugby.
Yep. Just the game and the
Yep.
quick wins. But do you also then see that as something, like if you're working in a business, it's almost like that top-down mentality where we need to think about who creates a culture and how the leaders are showing up, then impacts the...
Tougher because the state unions have a bit more, they have autonomy.
Yep.
Whereas you walk into a company, that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
The departments shouldn't necessarily have, just running their own show. They've got autonomy, obviously, but they don't get to call the shots.
Right.
Yeah.
And you feel they should? Obviously, it's a case-by-case basis, but for a company that let's say, hasn't been improving its revenue, there's cultural issues, like where do you feel?
Always at the top.
Yeah, always at the top.
Leadership, then culture, then teams. And
Yep.
most organisations you walk into, they'll talk about team, then culture, then leadership. No, reverse that.
Yep.
Get your leaders sorted, they'll sort the culture out, that'll sort the team out.
Yep. I was speaking at an event the other day for a company, and they were literally, the company culture was insane, like really good.
Yep.
Like this was a construction company too, and like they were doing like a piece where it was just like sharing 3 questions, and I was sitting in the back of the room, and blokes were openly praising each other in the most meaningful way in a public forum with like 100 other people. I've never seen that in my life. And then it might have been 6 weeks prior, I was in another conference, similar sort of field, and the CEOs, like I'm just looking at the CEO, he's sitting over here texting during my presentation. I'm like, how do you expect the rest of your staff to pay attention or show if they look over at you and you're completely disengaged? And that for me was like, the leaders have to lead by example as well. It's no good to just get someone in the room and say, we care about this, and then you're off doing other things, even if you are busy. You set the tone for things. I
haven't met a person in the last 5 years who's not busy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Some of the unemployed will tell you they're busy. Everyone's busy.
Literally. So for you then, getting back into the footy, transitioning out, so you made it back, obviously. You got your 5, got your contract.
Yep.
You're feeling pretty good about yourself, I would imagine. Like you're
funnily enough, on
feeling secure, hopefully.
The 5th game, it was the 78th minute. We were playing the Cheetahs, and I got man of the match. Actually, I got man of the match the week before against the Melbourne Rebels, which was a nice.
I told you we need Beau in the fucking Wallabies. Bring him back. I've seen some players doing these things like day 68 of me getting fit again to come back to represent whatever team. You should start doing that on TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok. I might be on TikTok. And flew into the ruck, 78th minute, and got concussion. And Fox Sports were going to interview me, and the Reds media manager was just looking at me and was like, "Oh, he seems a little more out of it than usual." And thankfully, didn't put me, didn't get me in front of the cameras, because I went into the change room and I had concussion, and when I sort of started coming to it, I was like, asked a question like, why am I wearing a red jumper, or why am I not wearing a blue jumper? Oh, you live in Brisbane. I thought I lived in Sydney. And
holy crap.
And the realisation again that my brother had passed away. So it was like, the boys are walking in the change room and I'm absolutely bawling my eyes out, and they're like, shit, I know he was aiming for the 5 games, which is probably a bit over the top of it.
They haven't even said they're giving you the contract yet.
So, and then then you had to, we were literally flying to South Africa, and it was a pretty big day for, we were flying to South Africa the next day, and, Mum was in the stands, she came in the change rooms, and also, she sees me doing that, but also the next day is the first day that sort of anyone from the family's gone back overseas, because my brother passed away over in London coming to see me. So, she was pretty stressed and distraught. And the Reds, God bless them, just go, oh, you've got to sign this contract to play the next game. And I was like, right, there's not much negotiation here, is there? You've got me in the corner. You got me.
I'll take it.
And it was the minimum contract. But then after that, it was still good to have a bit of stability for the rest of the year. And then I think when we got back, took a bit longer to sort out the contract for the next couple of years. So that was reassuring to have a bit of security and stability.
Yeah. But were you proud of yourself? Obviously, having known where you'd come from and having reached the pinnacle, gone back down to, where people say maybe you should get we can get you enrolled in this business program or whatever, and you're like, nah, I'm backing myself. Like that's huge.
Yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the season, like total rugby season 1 today, we sort of reflected a bit more. Probably didn't want to do too much of that whilst sort of like running a marathon, right? Like you don't sort of reflect on how you've been going. It's sort of what's ahead.
Keep running, son.
Just keep running. But I think, what I've achieved in my rugby career, it was well and good, and I'm proud of that. But it's probably I take more pride in how I achieved it and what I had to do to get there. Does that make sense? Like I played 76 Super Rugby caps, I think, which is one test, 20 minutes. This podcast will go longer than my test career.
Mate, it's way longer than mine.
Yeah, but again, it's not what I achieved; it's how I achieved it, which has given me great confidence and belief for life as well.
I'm a massive believer in that because I think we believe the goal is the thing, and obviously when you're winning a Super Rugby title or you're getting your 20-minute test cap and everyone's clapping and you're the man of the moment for the people that care about you, but then the next day life goes on. And I realised that people said when the 58 marathons happened, they're like, you're going to have a come down, mate. And I was like, no, I'm not, because this does not define me. This is a stepping stone, and I know tomorrow I'm still a husband. I've still got other things to do. And I love chasing a goal. And, there are clear winners and losers, whether you're racing or playing rugby or there are outcomes, but it's more about who you become in that process, because as you said, it's like when you do something that you didn't think was possible initially and you've now done it, it completely changes how you see yourself, how you see the world. Even now for me, like off the back of the 58, I don't care about the 58, but fuck, I'm a lot more confident in what I can achieve and what I believe people are capable of as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes people, maybe you and I reflect on what they've achieved, but others don't, and they probably should.
Definitely.
What have you already overcome in life that should give you confidence in what you're about to take on?
Definitely. I think it's stacking evidence, right?
Yeah.
We highlight the negative things, where we've messed up, the mistakes we've made. We dwell on that. Like people dwell on that shit all the time. And we just stack these pillars under a negative belief. But everyone's done cool stuff. Like you go to the pub and have a yarn with someone and they'll start telling you a story like, why has this not been on a podcast? This is unreal. Like I see it happen all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, it is actually a pretty cool story. I'm like, I've never experienced anything like that. Take me pigging or whatever it is, right? And that's I think we often take for granted because we're comparing. And I do believe there's benefit in comparison. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. But comparison, we often do it in a light where it's like, oh, we haven't done enough. We're not good enough. We aren't enough. As opposed to going, Beau's done this and he's done it the hard way. How can I learn some things from him to help pull me forward to that next level of myself? Has comparison been a big part in your life, played a big role in your life?
Nah, not really.
Damn it, conversation dead.
No, and I'll tell you, again, I think much more conscious of that sort of stuff now, right? Again, with the journey, the personal development stuff I've done, and particularly after studying the advanced diploma of neuroscience, like that was like it really made me more conscious and like, wow, this is amazing. I think you touched on it there. Like, I don't compare. I observe, right, what's working over there, and do I want to incorporate or implement that? But everyone knows comparisons. They should. No, it's dangerous. And again, why are you doing it? You're not finding enough, I'm going to say happiness or fulfillment in your own life with what you've got. I don't know. But maybe that's just my personal perspective based on my journey.
It almost. I'm just thinking out loud here, but do you think in a way it could almost remove a sense of responsibility from your own life, where it's, if I'm not comparing myself to myself, meaning what did I do yesterday, and reflect on like how could I improve those actions or behaviours or outcomes, it's easy to compare myself to Beau, because then I can say, oh, Beau's Beau and I'm not Beau, so therefore I can't do it. I don't know whether that made sense, but
yeah, it does.
I just think if I'm having, and I always want to be respectful to people, because I understand that everyone's in a different season of life and has different experiences. But when people say things like, I don't know, or that's not possible, or they can't seem to at least explore a solution, to me, I'm just thinking like that limitation that you've got there, the very fact that you aren't at least exploring options is going to be the reason why nothing changes for you.
Yeah.
As opposed to knowing that, we can pick up any book, listen to any podcast, chat to any person, and there's going to be probably one thing we can learn from them that will improve our life.
Yeah, definitely.
And all we need to then do is go, well, these are the things that are currently holding me back, whether it's the fact that I don't understand how to name and navigate my emotions, whether it's my financial position, whether it's I don't know what I want to do for the next chapter of my life. Like, cool, that's real. As you said, like, simplify it. That's my reality. Awesome.
Yeah.
But what could be the potential things that I could do about it to get myself in a position that maybe I want to be in?
Yeah. It's when you talk about that financial position, I think that is like there are people genuinely struggling, right, to put food on the table. But I think the comparison thing for the majority of people, right, is that they are that's a massive downfall of theirs. They compare and like, oh, I'll be happier when I'm making that money, or that person's got the money. Like, if you can't fucking find happiness with the financial situation you're in some strife.
Yeah.
Like, that if you think that's going to help, because I've seen people are making a heap of money and they're still, living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, the old golden handcuffs with the FIFO workers, right? Oh, when I make this, you keep spending it.
Yeah, your lifestyle inflates.
Yeah, you think you're chasing happiness, but you don't know what that looks like.
How did you find happiness?
What makes you happy? Just what brings you happiness. It's playing rugby, being surrounded by people. For me, it's very much about connection.
Yeah,
with good humans, good experiences, right? Like, I'm not a materialistic person. Some would say tight.
I was listening to a video from your mates in the group chat.
Yeah,
and you've gone, oh yeah, one of the boys. I'll butcher this story, but I thought it was hilarious. One of your mates has said, oh, should I get an audio book or something? And you're like, I think it's directed at me. So I chimed in. I'm like, yeah, definitely, great investment. And all the boys are baffled because you're such a tight bastard. They're like, why would you spend $12 on that? Oh, mate.
Yeah, but I would probably say I'm tighter personally than professionally. I don't need much. Like, I'm give me 4 beers on a Friday night and a barbecue on the back of the deck or going camping, like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, I am literally happy, right? Like, I don't necessarily need to put that up to say, if that's not other people's definition of happiness.
That's fine.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I invested a heap of money in myself and training and development because I love it.
Yep.
And I want to be the best that I can be in every aspect of my life, personally and professionally. So, like, the best investment is always in yourself.
Definitely.
Money and time.
I think, and for people to understand why it's so important, because if we have questions that maybe we are afraid to answer or don't know how to answer or anything like that, like, that's where you get essentially get your hand held. Like, I had my hand held for years trying to figure things out.
Oh, I still get my hand held.
Yeah, I love it.
Out booking flights on the right day. Like, I rolled up to a conference there the other day, last week it was. Beau Robinson, have you registered?
Thought I had.
Well, I hoped I had. I was like, I put a comment in the group saying I was coming, and she's like, did you click through the link to actually register? I was like, probably not by the sound of this. And she's laughing. I was like, only one of us is surprised by this, I can assure you. I rock up to a flight on the right day at the right time with my baggage. It's a relief. Because you'd be surprised how many times I've rocked up to a motel, like, I'm checking in, they're like, you booked it for next month. Of course I did.
Yeah, good. I'll just take the sofa.
What's it going to cost me tonight? Oh, it's an extra $400. Of course it is.
Yeah. Tax on that, bloody hell.
Yeah.
But I think that's important, though, and to me it probably circles back to that whole keeping up with the Joneses. I've asked a number of, like, I literally had a client. It's cool we're talking about this. Obviously, spending the day with clients yesterday, I'm talking to them about things, and one guy's loaded, like multiple 8 figures. And we're talking about his goals for the year, and then he's like, what's your goals for the year? I told him, a couple of them, he's like, I just want that to me is like a great life. And I'm very fortunate. I'm very similar to you. Everything you said, like, keep it simple as possible. I think the more we own, the more things have control over us and our emotions. I'm a very simple dude, right? Invest in my business because I love it, and then like sport and being outdoors, I love it. And I looked at that, I'm like, he's like, money's never made me any happier. It's literally just created a bit of a cage around my life. And for me, like, I've even got a huge wait list for work, and I could take that and it would make me awesome with the money, but then I'd have to sacrifice all the other things that actually matter. And I just think about it a lot, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but there's so much information and there's so much data out there that when we get towards the end of our life, or even for young people who unfortunately, we could probably even say your brother, like, we don't know when it's gone.
Nah.
And we're not going to sit there and talk about how much money we made or how many hours we worked in the office. It's like the 4 beers you shared with a mate camping in Girraween or whatever it may be. I went there recently, so but these stories and these experiences, and I guess I get conflicted because when I'm in Brisbane, I do sacrifice a lot of that because I'm like, I've got to work harder, and that for me, I guess, is it pulls me away, and I feel fucking horrible, and to the point where I'm like, mate, you haven't been doing the things you want to do. You're getting caught up in this smoke and mirrors bullshit that doesn't actually matter to you.
Yeah. And I'm probably the same as you, where I've done leadership coaching. I've worked with some of Australia's largest agricultural companies, right? And when you're doing the one-to-one coaching, you get like vulnerability. You're like, this person is nowhere near as happy or as confident as they should be. Like, why? What are you looking for? Do you even know what success or happiness looks like? I think a lot of people are driven by insecurity and external validation. That's actually their driver. Again, based on my observations and experience, and done plenty of the coaching that you do get the insights. And people ask me, well, why are you so happy and confident? I'm not trying to impress anyone. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think. Right? And I don't need much.
Yeah.
Because again, making this money and this lifestyle, is it genuinely bringing you happiness, or is it to show that you are perceived to be successful? Now, again, what is your definition of successful? That's subjective, but I'm not worried about what anyone else's definition of successful is. I want to make this quite clear. Like, I am happy. I think, it might be another video like I talk about. My life has been amazing and is amazing, but shit, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
I've got plenty going on.
Yeah, that was awesome. Can you expand on that? Like, that video was unreal, where the chick messaged you. I think it was a chick or someone messaged you and said, mate, your life looks amazing. Because you're always travel. You love what you do, right? You're traveling and things are going on. But then there's like another video where you're out in the bush at this beautiful farm. I don't know who's. I think it was a. Yeah. Actually, I watched too much of your stuff, but you had a baby shower.
The baby shower? Yeah.
Your dad's like, Beau, men don't go to baby showers. You're like, oh, I think they do. Was your dad, old boy's name Larry? Is it? Yeah. I think they do in this time and age.
Yeah, 39 single male going to a baby shower. It's like, oh, well, men don't go to those. I was like, they do in this day and age, Larry. What? I've never been one. I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. But again, I suppose that's where society's at. And, it was actually a good day.
Yeah. I got my first baby shower, which is actually my baby shower, which Dad's like, oh, a bloke's going. I was like, yeah, I think it's like a thing. And then I'm like, cool. Just have some beers and whatnot. But, yeah, going back to your life looks perfect, as people say. Yeah. So you love your life, but it's not fucking perfect.
I do, right? Like, I'm so grateful for, everything that I've been through in life, the good and the bad. Even with my brother passing, I choose to look at that as a positive. And mine's a little bit different, right? Like, I've lived in 5 countries. I've, played for my country. I've won a Super Rugby title. So I know there will be some going, oh, well, if I had that life too, mine would be amazing. But even now, like, it's the simple things in life that I feel as though my life is amazing right now. Said it's far from perfect. I've got plenty of shit going on. Probably outside of myself, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because I work pretty hard on myself, and a lot of people, you know, why I so happy and you know, confident. Again, I'm not driven by other people and their perspectives and opinions, because the people whose opinions I value, like, you know, hopefully think highly of me because they talk to me and they want to catch up with me, and we enjoy catching up. So, yeah, as I said, I've got plenty going on, and you know, it's probably a beer and a wine thing more so than an open podcast with some of the stages. But oh God, how much money have I spent on bloody lawyers? I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, it sort of drove you to a point. We don't need to go into we'll save that for beers and wines, but 2023 was a big year for you, like tough year for you.
Shit,
and you know, I know you put a video up on Friday about that young fella who took his life, which is, as you said, it's becoming way too common. It's so fucking sad. And you were then talking about a time in your life where you were going through a heap of shit, and it was great for me to watch, because from the outside looking in, like, you're a tough bloke, right? You've achieved the pinnacle in sport, and in a sport which is tough. And then you have the courage and the know-how, like, I guess the awareness to start saying, hey, I'm not okay. Like, I need to talk to people in my life and let them know that I'm not okay. Like, what was that process like for you?
Began pretty simple, right? I tried to simplify that to, like, 2023. I was working with some of Australia's largest companies and doing pretty well too, don't get me wrong. Making good money, but I wasn't happy, right? Like, I love the training, like, love leadership coaching, love going and facilitating stuff, love it. But when I wrote my book back in 2018, 2019, as I was writing that, I realised, you know, I was talking about my journey to go to Dubbo, and so I did horse riding up in the Northern Territory, and then I quickly gave away the horse riding to get into team sports, and I never got into individual sports because I loved team sports. And so, working as a consultant doing leadership coaching, I was working by myself, and I'm like, I'm a team person. Like, I need to go and find a business. I need to be surrounded by people. As I said, like, and money was an issue. It was, you know, unbelievable. Anyway, I won't talk about that. But yeah, like, it was good, but I just hated being in the office by myself. So I was like, I've got to go. And I was going through a divorce. I was, you know, trying to get court orders to have more certainty with seeing my children. Then there was the financial situation in terms of going through that, bloody legal costs going through the roof. I had a house. I had, you know, one house, and I had a house that I built next to it that couldn't sell for 11 months, and that was when the interest rates were going up. You know, then I'd moved out of the house. I was paying rent at another place, and then I was paying the full mortgage on the other place with no income coming in on that one. Read between the lines there. It was wild, and I was like, far out. You know, there's so much going on personally and professionally, and so, you know, I said to my mate, I said, mate, like, I am struggling. I said, I need you to keep an eye on me, because I think you see a lot of the videos. My Professor Scott Galloway, like, you know, talks about, like, you know, men get so lonely when they get out of, because you don't have your kids, you're working by yourself, you don't have a girlfriend or a partner, and most of your mates, like, you don't want to take them away from their quality time with their family. Yeah. Right? So, like,
you don't almost want to feel like a burden.
No. And interestingly enough, I don't know, like, the studies show that women are actually better at connecting when they're going through that than men, sort of thing. So you find yourself quite isolated. And, you know, I used to go over to their place regularly on a Sunday night just so I could feel as though I was in a family environment, you know, to have dinner. Told mum I was struggling, told dad I was struggling, and poor bastard.
Old Larry's.
Not that I knew much to get out of him. No, I think at that stage I might have been off the drink. I was very mindful of how much I drank,
Yeah.
right? Very conscious of that. And went and saw 2 Cosolas. One was in Brizzy, via Zoom. He was a high performance, had had experience with national teams and winning. And I was like, have I lost my mentality and mindset around high performance? And then the other one was actually my former boarding master at my boarding school, who went and studied psychology after that, who I probably didn't see eye to eye with when I was at school, to be honest. But
Yeah, right.
well, wasn't exactly a role model boarding student. Nah. I can't,
Could have seen you would have been a little bit of fucking trouble.
Yeah, the principal knew my name, and saw him, and that was probably because he had more of a context around, my personal and family situation, sort of thing. So I didn't, we didn't see eye to eye, but I totally respected him and really appreciated the fact that his role was to instill boundaries, and my role was to push them, and get along with him really well. Like we'll catch up with him occasionally for a beer now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really, really good man. And both of them were just like, you're doing all the work. Like you know this is a point in time thing. You've already identified that. So the Brizzy psychologist only saw it twice. He said after me first one, he's like, I don't even know if you need a second one, to be honest. He goes, you know that you're doing everything, and you know at this point in time, and there's things that are out of your control. He said, but you want to check in? I said, yep, we'll check in a month's time then. And we had the second one. He's like, again, this stuff's out of your control, and you know that you're doing everything. And the other one was the same too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's good that you were able to do that. I think that's such a... For me, I would find it, not so much now, but even maybe to my mum and dad, like to tell them if I'm struggling, because there's this idea in my head that especially working in the space, I feel like there's almost like where you do help other people, you feel like you have to have it together, but I know that's not the case. I'm always battling stuff. You've just shared your battling stuff. And that's life. But to be able to, I've definitely got people where I can say, hey, fucking not in the best frame of mind, and I see a psych every month, literally just for a check-in. I always, when it comes to that appointment, I'm like, fuck, do I need to go here? And then I always walk away going, oh, that was worthwhile.
Yep.
But for people out there, like, if you don't feel like you can confide in someone or can do that, like that to me is like a limitation that I would go, okay, well, what would it look like for you to have those relationships? Because men are lonely. Like the stats are showing 3 in 4 men don't have a close mate. Like that's insane.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, it's fucking mind blowing.
Jeez.
And so, and it's not so much like the loneliness comes from the fact that we can be around people, but we still don't feel valued, seen, and heard. And there's 2 ways of looking at that. I think the first one is that we're always wearing a mask in situations because of the comparison and the fear of judgment, that we're not allowing people to see who we are. So it's like, well, how will anyone ever make you feel valued, seen, and heard if you're not allowing them to? So that's inner work. The second thing is that we're just not around the right people. We don't have the tools. Like, as you said a moment ago, women are incredible communicators, and there's a lot to be learned from them. Most men aren't. Like, I don't know whether you've ever experienced it or spoken to a bloke who's like, I just don't know how to say what I feel or what I'm trying to say. And therefore that shuts down, and that's why men either they snap, they get angry, or they just shut down. And I've been that bloke as well. I used to, every second word was a swear word because I didn't know the rest of the sentence. And I was like, they'll read between the lines. Then I started realizing, you can actually, for me, writing, your thoughts slow down. If I couldn't write a sentence about things, then I'm like, okay, well, that's the issue. I just don't understand it. And it's hard for people to then know who I am or what I'm experiencing if I don't know it for myself. And that was a big thing. So I think for individuals there, it's like identify those limitations. And that's where the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, whether it's with personally or professionally, is so important because we can just help highlight those blind spots, right?
Yeah. Here's one for you, right? Because often, especially working in families and whatnot, I go, they're emotionless. I go, here's a question for you. Are they emotionless or expressionless? What's the difference? Right?
I've never heard that in my life.
Right? What they're feeling, because they're very likely to be feeling stuff, right?
Yeah.
If they're not, they're some real struggles, but they don't feel as though they can express that or put that in words. As you said,
Dude, you've just nailed that. Emotionless or expressionless.
Yeah, and then this is with every person, right? But this is how I want to communicate. Yep, that's great, but it's not about you. Other people communicate differently. So how you want to is not necessarily how other people want to back. And if you realise that, the quicker you realise that, it'll be a game changer. Because often in the breakdowns, it's misunderstanding through miscommunication, right? So let's say, for example, women, you're saying like they're good communicators. Yep, but they're also wanting generally their husbands or their partners to communicate how they think people should be communicating, right?
Correct.
And it's understanding that's not how they
Yeah.
do communicate. Then ideally you get people both have a self-awareness around how they prefer to communicate, how others communicate. But the majority of people are far off that. But that's why I love, getting in, doing the disc profiling is a big eye-opener, or, facilitating that, like how do people want to be communicated to? And everyone's then got to adjust.
Would you say communication is one of the most important skills to develop?
Probably the most.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's always like how you use your voice, how you...
Actually, maybe listening.
Ooh. Okay, so listening would... Oh, no, actually, I'm just butchering that. I was going to say, listening could almost be a form of communication, though, because it's like...
Yeah.
For you listen really well, right? And I talk over the top of you all the time. But like the way that you conduct yourself and the little sprinkles of vulnerability then make me feel comfortable around you to know that you're listening, and then I can speak more. Whereas there's some people who might be listening to a degree, but they still have the quick judgment afterwards with the next words that they choose. With that,
do you think that happens? Because so you've got to listen, right? You can be an effective listener.
Yep.
And like again, your definition of communication, just clarify those listening at home. Just because you talk a lot doesn't mean you're a good communicator. Right? Let's get that right. But in order to be able to communicate, you first need to listen and take in what the other person is saying.
Correct. Okay.
And you can be more effective with less words.
Yep.
So I think and I see it there'll be two people arguing. I was like, do you understand that you're arguing about two different things?
Yeah.
Like you're actually arguing, or they're actually arguing, but they're actually on the same page. I'm like, just stop, just to clarify. You're saying this, have I heard that correctly? Yes. And you're saying this, yes. The reason that you haven't worked that out, it's the same thing, is because you're not listening. So the quicker someone shoots back with a response, the less time they've given to think. So when people actually, if they shoot back straight away, they've not listened, or they're not trying to listen to understand, and then you become an effective communicator by asking further questions. Because I did a session on Tuesday about collaborative communication, right? And I was like, right, give me one of the biggest issues that we've got in this company, right, business. And this is the issue. It is very, very rarely that the first thing that's said is the actual issue. So you got to break that down. Why is that the issue? Then why is that the issue? Then why is that you come full circle around, and then they're like, okay. Well, and it took a couple of hours, right? Would we agree that this is something that ticks everyone's needs in terms of what they're needing as a team, and we could move forward on this, or at least trial it? Yes. But if you say, what's the issue, and we could even think of an example, no, that's not going to work. Why? And very rarely will be the first response.
That's interesting. I think, people just lead with what they feel comfortable saying, and then you have to dig a little bit deeper to get to the core issue.
Yeah, they don't even necessarily know themselves.
Yeah.
Right? They think that's the issue,
but
it's something else.
Do you feel people could do that themselves if they were to, say, for example, write it down on paper and then ask them, like, why is that the issue? Or do you feel it's better facilitated generally?
Oh, most definitely better facilitated.
Yep.
Because you're not coming in with preconceived, relationships and ideas.
Yep.
writing it up, and I did it, right? I was writing it up on the wall, right? And this is, again, some of the teaching I've been exposed to. When you put it up on the wall, right, it takes it away from being back and forth. So everyone's looking at the wall, and when we've got this approach that we're all trying to work out the same common goal. And
I love that.
yeah, it's not the back and forth. Right?
I fucking love that.
Yeah. So that, when you see across the table, it's a bang, bang, it's like a tennis match back and forth, but that's not the goal. It's got to work out what I see this in my personal relationships too, right? But if people don't want to, they're not open to, the problem is not always the problem, as I said. What they say is not the problem. I could think of a really good example, but I won't probably share it on this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck. I love it. Well, mate, I reckon next year we're going to do a couple. I think what I would love to ask the audience, if there's things that you'd love to dive into more, because I think you're a brilliant thinker and you...
I don't know about that.
No, well, I think that you've been through a lot and you work with a lot of people, so you've got great insights and perspectives. You're brilliant at simplifying complex things. And for me, I love listening to you talk, because then I'm taking all these notes of things that I've not really understood well. And now I'm like, oh, that was well said. Very simple for me to understand. And now it feels a lot more manageable for me to execute in my own life. And I love that. And I think most people do as well. But I think questions or topics that Beau and I could chat about next year, even if we did one or two more next year, and we got some questions from people, or obviously you and I will be going through life as well, so there'll be things on our mind. Where can people find you and follow you? So if people want to do some work with you, or just even watch your Friday yarns, where do people head to?
At the airport. I bump into so many people at the airport. No, I'm do some stuff on LinkedIn and then Instagram. Just hearing my thoughts or expressing my thoughts, and I think that it's amazing. The same as you, I think that you put up posts there earlier today, like just how much even people that aren't necessarily your clients take away from it, because you're expressing what a lot of people are thinking, right? Like they're like, oh, and again, you simplify. That's one of the people say to me, oh, you dumb it down. No, I simplify it, because the brain wants that for everyone. It wants to be simplified so it can understand. I think even with people's problems, they're like, oh, this is a problem. I go, okay, it sounds like the size of a beach ball. What exactly is the problem? Be as specific as you can with me or everyone. What do you mean everyone? What everyone? It's not everyone. Who? Who is, whatever causing you? Oh, right. So that's the relationship we've got to work on.
Yep.
Right. And it's dangerous, right? Because I journal every night.
Yep.
Or but every night, and it's getting clear on what is the actual issue. Don't make it out to be bigger than Ben-Hur. Because honestly, you just go around your head, and if you're not clear on what the issue is, you're not going to be able to work out a solution or steps to address it.
Yep.
My opinion.
I agree. I agree with your opinion. Mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad we finally got to make this happen.
Yeah, apologies.
No. It's been me. And next time I won't be in this office next year. Thank goodness. It's been a good little road show. But
you're talking about doing it at different settings. Was Felons an option?
Yeah.
Brekkie Creek?
Mate, Brekkie Creek could be an option. Mate, Felons, we found this beautiful spot like just behind Mr. Percival's. Yep. Amazing backdrop. Like have a couple of people walking past as well. Yep. So like I feel like that's going to be what I'm thinking next year for the pod.
Not that I've got any dates to go on, but is that one that I should be taking someone?
Yes.
But we're thinking way too far ahead.
Mate, you've got this big goal again, right? Let's just bring it down to the next milestone.
Let's get a match.
You're a weapon, mate. It's been a pleasure. For everyone following along, check the show notes. You can find all the links for Beau. Mate, unreal as always. We'll see you soon.
Look forward to it.